Hola amigos, Stuart here from Spain Speaks, and today we're going to look at some of the pros and some of the cons of moving to this country, Portugal, in the year 2025. So let's go. Now, Portugal has definitely become a hotspot in recent years for foreign residents, for digital nomads, other people looking to improve their quality of life and enjoy everything that this country, Portugal, has to offer. Is it the beaches? Is it the relaxed lifestyle? Is it the rich Portuguese culture? Whatever the reason, Portugal is still on many people's radars, including my own. And I'm going to be honest, every time I come to this country, I seriously think about moving here permanently. And as I said, these are going to be some of the pros and cons, in my opinion, of doing just that. So let's get straight into them. Now, for many people, Portugal is all about the lifestyle, the laid-back Portuguese lifestyle. Well, I'm going to tell you that for a lot of people, the lifestyle here is not all that laid back. But if you're coming to live here, perhaps as a retiree or somebody who has a flexible job, you're earning your money outside Portugal, you can get a very laid back lifestyle here. That's a pro. But it also has some cons. And one of the cons for some people could be that the lifestyle here is just too laid back, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that if you're not in a big city here in Portugal, let's say you're not living in Lisbon or you're not living in Porto, the lifestyle can be a little bit too laid back for some people. Things happen slowly here. That's what locals like. Everything is about slow living, slow eating, slow cooking. Everything can be a little bit too slow for some people, so keep that in mind. But for me, it's a pro, because even coming from the city that I live in, Madrid, Spain, things here move at a whole different pace. And for some people, as I said, it can be a little bit frustrating having to wait longer to order things in restaurants and in bars, having to wait longer to get bureaucratic things done. And that's something that I'll speak about a little bit more later on in the video, bureaucracy here in Portugal, some of the pros and cons when it comes to that. But in general, that lifestyle, something that I like, might not be for everyone. And as I said, that's something that you need to take into consideration before moving to a country like this. But if you are looking for that laid-back Portuguese lifestyle, don't worry, you will find it in a hurry when you come to this country. Now, one of the big draw cards for me of moving to Portugal, and let's say 2025, would be the weather aspect. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Portugal has Atlantic weather. One day it's good, the next day it is terrible. That is true. But today is the 30th of December, 2024, and look at the sunny day that we have today. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the weather here can vary north to south, west to east. The interior parts of the country are going to be very, very hot in the summer, milder on the coastal areas, milder in these coastal areas, I should say. Doesn't get as hot, but the humidity levels here are very, very high, so take that into consideration. Then, of course, you've got the south of the country, the Algarve part of the country, where the weather is decent. Not as good as the Costa del Sol, I don't think, but decent nonetheless. But the big problem here, when those storms come through, the levels of humidity, the dampness, and a lot of homes, surprisingly, especially some of the older homes, don't have central heating. So you're going to have to take that into consideration as well. But from my experience here, having an apartment, I only need to put the heating on. We just have electric heaters. I only need to put them on in the afternoon when it starts to get a little bit cooler, maybe in the morning as well. So there's not a huge heating expense. But on days like today, when the sun is shining, there's virtually no wind at all. The winter temperatures here very, very attractive. Imagine being able to sit outside, have a coffee, have a beer on the 30th of December. In many parts of Europe, that is impossible. But here, not the case. And this is what I'm talking about. Not sure if you can see it there, but it's 12:30. It is the 30th of December, outside today, enjoying a nice cold beer. Doesn't get much better than this, I'm going to be honest. Cheers. And just being able to do this in the middle of winter is all the quality of life some people need, myself included. Now, I was going to talk about cost of living here in Portugal in this video, but nowadays, with information that is readily available on the internet, no need to talk about cost of living because you can easily check all of the data that you need when it comes to cost of living. For example, this site here, Numbeo, you can easily get an idea for the cost of living in a country like Portugal or any other country for that matter, with websites like this one here. So if we take a look at some of the basic information, a family of 4 estimated monthly costs at 2,396.3 euros without rent in Portugal. A single person estimated monthly costs are 667.9 euros without rent, and the cost of living in Portugal is on average 36.4% lower than in the United States. And all of the other information that you need, restaurant prices, market prices, transportation prices, utilities, sports and leisure, childcare, clothing, rent per month, apartment prices to buy, salaries and financing, and general prices in Portugal are here on websites like this one. And if you want to compare the cost of living, let's say, between Spain's capital city, Madrid, and Portugal's capital city, Lisbon, you can easily do that too. And here we go, we can see cost of living comparison between those two cities, and basically cost of living in Madrid 6.1% higher than in Lisbon without rent. But an interesting statistic, for me at least, is this one here, that rent prices in Madrid are 7.6% lower than in Lisbon nowadays. So cost of living comparisons easy with websites like the one I've just shown you there. And this video is not sponsored by that website. Now, another thing that we need to talk about is language. And yes, if you are planning a move to Portugal, you will need to learn the Portuguese language. However, people here do speak English. You can find people speaking English virtually everywhere you go, young people especially, more so in the big cities, but in general, the Portuguese population have English language skills. But you need to learn the local language if you want to integrate and enjoy your time in this country, because you can't depend on finding people everywhere you go that speak English. So keep that in mind. In my opinion, it's a pro because you get to learn another language, you get to learn about another culture, and those things are very enriching, as I said, in my opinion. But I understand that for some people, learning another language, especially at an advanced age, can be an issue. So keep it in mind. Possible con, but for me, as I said, a pro learning the Portuguese language. And that's what I'm currently doing. Now, I could probably say that sunsets here in Portugal, another reason to move to the country, because the sunsets here are unbelievable. But I want to talk about housing because it has become an issue and it could put a lot of people off moving to this country. Now, fortunately, I purchased property here around 15 years ago. I mentioned this in a video the other day. So as far as housing goes, I don't really have an issue. But if I want to upgrade the apartment that I have, that is, move into a bigger apartment, it's going to cost me a lot more money than it would have done 10 or 15 years ago. And cities like Lisbon now are almost prohibitive as far as housing is concerned. Locals have been complaining for a number of years that there's too many foreigners coming into the country, creating a housing crisis, over tourism as well, and that is a real issue currently for locals and also people that are looking to move to this country. Affordable housing, decent housing. So keep that in mind. So my advice to people that are considering moving to Portugal in 2025 is look for a part of the country away from the crowds. That is, don't go to the capital city, Lisbon. Don't go to the second biggest city, Porto. Move inland, move away from the coast, and you should be able to find decent quality housing for a decent price still. That would be my advice. Now, on to the next part. Now, another potential con of moving to a country like Portugal, as with Spain, is bureaucracy. But I'm going to be honest, my experience with Portuguese bureaucracy hasn't been all that bad, especially when it comes to paying housing tax and things like that, getting things done. It's a little bit slower than some people would be used to, but it does work. Another story could be getting a visa to live here permanently. I haven't gone through that process yet, but from all reports it can be a little bit time consuming. But there's plenty of people willing to help you out nowadays, help you with that process, so dealing with bureaucracy should not be an issue. When it comes to dealing with other services here, for example banks, again hit and miss. My experience with the bank that I use has been positive. I know the manager, we're in contact, send him an email if I need something done. So in that regard, I haven't got any complaints. But other people, I understand when it comes to dealing with these big companies here in Portugal, whether it's banks, telecommunications companies, they're all the same. Not easy to get things done, but it can be done. And as I said, the question is making relationships if that is possible. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is tourism here in Portugal, which can be a pro and also a con. A pro because of all of the tourist dollars or tourist euros that come into Portugal, millions and millions and millions of euros coming into the country as a result of a booming tourism market. But if you're planning on coming and living here in Portugal, tourism could also be a con, especially if you're not in the tourism sector working. That is because sleepy villages, sleepy coastal towns that seem idyllic in the winter months can turn into a nightmare come the summer, come July, come August, when literally millions of people flock to this country to enjoy everything that it has to offer. So as I said, a pro as far as the economy is concerned, but a con if you're thinking of living in this country and tourists might spoil your lifestyle. Keep that in mind. So there we go, some of my pros and cons of moving to Portugal in 2025. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have moved to Portugal in recent years, let me know your experience in that comment section. And if you're planning on moving to this country, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Até logo from Portugal.